Ultimate Deadpool here. I thought I'd do something a little bit differently today. I technically got this for Christmas from my brother. He got it for Christmas and accidentally already had it. So I'm going to do something a little bit differently. I'm going to actually do a live build. Which is going to be weird because I've never done a live build. I always just build this shit out. There we are. So, it's weird, I know, but this also doubles as my Q&A video, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Let's see, this bag 1, I need that one first. Bag 3 we'll set off to the side. These are the little Iron Man pieces. Bag 2 we'll set off to the side. Nice thick instruction booklet. All the logos. I'm actually really good at putting these type of things on. So let's lower the camera. It's completely opened in the back. So, I'm sorry if this stream buffers, so just as a heads up, I don't mean for it to buffer on purpose. So let's... Unfortunately though, at the moment it's going to buffer like crazy, simply because I'm underneath my bed frame and there's not a whole lot of internet connection. Live streaming underneath my bed is not, but I can manage it. So, because normally when I build stuff like this, I'm either at a table or on my living room floor. I'm so glad that they brought the original Iron Man mold for the helmet back. I don't like the new one that they did. Because for me, I'm old school, so I like the older things better. Like, I like old cars, I like old trucks. This is amazing. Well, I'm not doing much of anything right now, but thank you. I have done a handful of other live streams on this channel already. I think I did. I played the Simpsons Hit and Run game, as well as the Ultimate Spider-Man game for the Wii or GameCube. So I've done a few other streams. I plan to do more gaming streams in the future, but for now, I figured to do something a little bit different. This is also going to double as my Q&A video. So if you guys have any questions that are appropriate, feel free to ask them, and I will do my best to answer said questions. If you hear a whole bunch of crinkling in the background, I'm so sorry. I can't help that LEGO puts their crap in really, really annoying bags. Expect to hear that noise too. So, yay! Let's build this thing. So, step 1, build Iron Man. Alright, done. Iron Man's built. Step 2, you can switch out the hairpiece and turn around his head, and it's kind of sad that they actually have to visually show that you can turn his head around, because some idiot couldn't figure out how to make it work, and they complained to LEGO and probably said, oh, I can't make his head turn around. So that's probably why they had to actually draw it out, which is sad. Okay, so step 3, build his rocket thingy. So I do like the mold on this. This is pretty cool. I may use this more often. Let's see. You get some of these little energy piece things. I'm sure there's an actual name for these, but for now, I'm just going to call them the Iron Man things. That's the technical term. Okay. So we need 2 of the longest Iron Man things. Ta-da! Yay! We're halfway done. We need 2 of these translucent studs that have the holes in them. Now, no, I'm not going to narrate every single individual part on here because I don't know what they're all called. Once I get into the actual Ironmonger, it'll be just simply Q&A from there. So that's another bad thing about streaming a live Lego build like this. Anytime my arm is over the camera, it could either cause sound loss or connection loss, which is never fun. Okay, so yay. Now Iron Man can fly super, super fast. So yay. For the time being, he's going to hold his little energy glowing things. Or the repulsor charges, I think is what these things were originally intended to be called, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to break the figure because I've seen people complain about these particular parts because it's very hard to slip them in, so half the time you have to really push them through the hand, and I've heard people have said that it actually breaks the minifigure's hands over time. And since my favorite Iron Man armor, or one of my favorite Iron Man armors, is actually Mark III, which is this version of Iron Man is actually going to appear in quite a few videos, so expect that in the future. Yay! Page 3 is done. Oh, step 3. Wow, they have a lot of steps for Iron Man in this first few things. So it's kind of cool. I will say this. I like how they portray his repulsor blasts now. They have the simple stud piece. And this is actually how I always used to use it when they came out with the Ghostwriter Spider-Man team-up set. Anytime Iron Man would use the repulsor, I'd use this little ring piece. And so it's kind of cool that they at least try to include this. It just, I don't know, something about some of the ways that Lego portrays some of their builds just don't really make sense. Perfect example is the Ironmonger itself. I don't know why the hell they made it so big. Standard Iron Man suit. I mean, yes, obviously it is huge because it is an exosuit, but it's not as big as this set depicts it as, and I think that's kind of weird that they had, this gigantic freaking Hulk of a bit, monstrosity of a build for just something that's really not that much bigger. They could have used a big fig. That's what I'm getting at. They could have used a Hulk-sized big fig and had the arc reactor as the main build, or freaking the streets of New York and you can pick up a taxi cab type thing, not this ginormous thing that I'm fixing to construct. So I am nitpicky on Legos because just I can't help it. Rest in peace. Yeah, I know. Rest in peace, Tony Stark. I think that was actually the biggest scene in almost any film that almost made me cry. Like, I didn't cry when I first saw Avengers Endgame, but man, when I watch it by myself, almost every single time Tony Stark sacrifices himself, I'm like, dude, it is so hard. It's going to be a lot harder to watch, the MCU without Tony Stark, because he built the MCU. The whole foundation of Marvel is started with this very Iron Man suit. So yeah, it's gonna be weird, but it's just one of those things that you can't change, because you definitely don't want to degrade that awesome sacrifice from Endgame, but at the same time you also don't want to completely change the layout of Marvel either, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Okay, great. So let's start with the Ironmonger. Yeah, but it sounds like the Spider-Man is going to start doing stuff like that. Now, before anybody says anything, yes, I did see Spider-Man: No Way Home. I absolutely loved that movie. There were a few things that kind of was like, okay, I get why they did that, but it's just kind of weird on how they went and did stuff like that. So, but otherwise, I had a freaking blast watching that movie. Reddit moment. Hey, best I can game. So, by the way, how was y'all's? If you guys celebrate Christmas, how was y'all's Christmas? Mine this year was a little weird because, as you guys know, my grandmother on my dad's side recently just passed away. So it was very weird not having her around physically, but she was definitely with us, and she was. We also have her urn, so yeah, she was still technically with us, but not really. So I fixed the new Five Nights at Freddy's game. I appreciate the sorry for your loss part. I've lost two family members within back to back thing. Recently, my cousin, the one who you guys always joked around about me and him getting into fights, passed away in a fatal car accident. Um, Not too long ago, and that was a trip. But I know in my heart that they're in a much better place now, and I know God is gonna take care of them all and everything. And when it's my time, I'll see him again. So I look not really forward to dying, but I can I'm ready. So yeah, it's 2021. It's just been a bad year. Not as bad as 2020. I will give it that. But yeah, it's just been a nightmare. So, but and what made my cousin passing worse is I was in my Ghostbusters truck on the way to make a delivery in Dallas, and I had saw him about 30 minutes before I got the call because I saw him pass by me when oops, it buffed out again. So it's definitely not fun because like I said, I passed by him, and then about maybe 30 minutes to an hour later, I received a phone call that said that he was in the hospital and had gotten into a major accident. And I went up there to find out that he had broken his neck in like 7 places and was all but dead on impact. So, it does suck, but there's not much that I can do. I can't turn back time and fix that. I can't change what happened. I couldn't warn him. When I was heading up to the delivery location, because I wasn't. How was I supposed to know that something like that would happen? So no, I'm sad. Well, I wasn't trying to make you sad. So, it's just for me. I know it's going to be different, and that's what Christmas was this year. It was very quiet. I'll put it that way. It was very quiet because my cousin and I, yeah, we had our differences, but we were always best friends. We were always, there. So, but that's you expect stuff like that. So, okay, so now that that's done, we'll go on to the next part. All right, have a good rest of your night. Best that I can game. So, okay. And like I said earlier, I repeat myself quite a bit throughout my live streams, just so that way people who sign on or come on, know what to expect. I am doing a Q&A while also building the Iron Monger from the first Iron Man film, which, if you ask me, is by far one of the best Marvel movies ever. Compared to modern day standards, it's not near as big as Avengers Endgame, but it still lives up despite its old age. So, oh, you headed out to DC Mills? I'm putting the hip decals on. And with me, since I'm a perfectionist, I have to get the decals right, which drives me absolutely crazy. Oh, okay. So, with me, building Lego sets is a lot, not really challenging because, I could probably build this whole set in about, if I wasn't focused on, a live stream, I could probably get it done in about maybe an hour, if that. Um, but the thing with me and yeah, I know, it's got to be perfect. That's the problem with me and Lego decals, and that's one of the things that I can't stand when I do my minifigure decals. Like when I print my stuff out and whatnot. I know that there's no other way to put them on, but at the same time, if it's not perfect, I keep doing it until I get it right, and it drives me crazy. I can't tell you how many times I've had to redo certain figures because the decals themselves just didn't line up right, or they would line up and then all of a sudden they would get shredded after one video. Perfect example, one of the Spider-Mans that I did a while back, it was one of the newer ones. The top leg printing on him got squished because I didn't let the glue dry enough. So now the side of his leg is all nice and detailed, but the main part where his leg moves is all gone, which is no big deal. I mean, that's not that part doesn't have to be detailed, but because the paper ripped, it left all this ugly white shit all over his boots, and now I'm going to have to redo his legs at some point and just cut that particular part out. I can't tell you guys how many times I've had to redo certain figures because of that. And yeah, I could just shrug it off and call it a day, but unfortunately, like I said, since I am a perfectionist, it has to be done right the first time, or if I don't get it right the first time, I keep doing it until I get it right. Another perfect example was my Ash Williams figure from the Evil Dead franchise. Now, when I did Ash Williams originally, it was super simple. He just had a basic basically half of one of these. He basically just had that with a hole drilled out in the stud, and then put a chainsaw bit through it, or basically cut half the chainsaw piece off, stuck it in there, and stuck his hand in this. That was it. Later on, I upgraded the chainsaw and everything to make sure that I got it right, and then kept going from there. Once I got the chainsaw right, then I'm like, you know what? Yes, he wears a dark blue suit in the TV series, but I wanted it to be more of like Evil Dead 2, because Evil Dead 2 is by far one of my favorite horror movies ever, even though you really shouldn't consider it a horror movie, because yes, it is not really scary, but it's got more slapstick comedy than anything in it. And that's what made Evil Dead popular. That's what made Ash Williams famous. It wasn't the first movie at all, it was the second movie. So So with stuff like that, you want to make sure that you get the thing that made it what it was. Like when I did my Jason Voorhees, I did the same thing. I made sure that I had as much detail in it as I could, while also staying faithful to what made it famous. Nowadays, people think of Jason as an unstoppable zombie because in part 6, that's what he became. And then, so it's very hard, especially with stuff like that, because there are so many freaking Friday the 13th movies that, you screw up one thing and then boom, you get hammered by a whole bunch of people who are like, oh, it was actually this, and this, and this. And it just starts an entire new thing. So, it's one of those things that if it's not done right, I keep doing it until I get it right. And sometimes that can take weeks. I've had certain figures and big figs that have taken months to get right because I tried it, I didn't like it, and I kept doing it until I got it right. So, and there's still a whole bunch of figures that I use almost every single video, like, Deadpool, Spider-Man, and, stuff like that. That is not at all, close, but you know what? It works. So, therefore, I use it. That's why I try not to, or anytime I do my own designs, like when I did that, this Spider-Man design, Gravity Man reboot. I'm working on that, but the biggest thing I have a problem with doing that is I would love to do that. Believe me, I would. But the problem with doing that is the first Gravity Man movie that I did was so well done that it's going to be impossible to make a reboot out of it or do anything of the sort, because the first one was it was so well done. I don't want to basically degrade what that movie was. It's the same thing with Krueger. If I was going to remake Krueger in October, but I pulled the plug on it because I didn't want to ruin what basically made that movie such a success. That movie was dark. It was, had its, little Freddy Krueger-esque jokes and whatnot, but the majority of it was dark and had a really good story. And I didn't want to ruin that. So, yeah, I know, I do too. But, again, it's one of those things that I can't change. Trust me, I have tried changing it. But, it's the same thing. I wanted to remake, the Gravity Man movie, or if I didn't remake it, continue where the story left off. But again, if I did that, then, the people who have not seen that film would come in and they'd be like, what the hell is going on? Why is this like this? Who is this person? And everything else. And there would be no backstory. There wouldn't be anything that they could look on and visually see what everybody else already knows. So if that makes any sense at all, then basically if I were to continue the series, it wouldn't make any sense without actually having that first story. And I am afraid to remake said story because I'm afraid it would not be what people would expect it to be. I am missing something, and I'm not sure what. Oh, I didn't put the other plate on. So yeah, I know it sounds confusing because I'm sure there's there's a lot of people who absolutely loved the original Gravity Man movie, myself included. But I don't want to ruin what made that movie special, and I'm afraid if I remade it, then because I don't remember any of the words that were spoken in that movie. I do have this, and the storyline that I chose for it is a little bit different. For the remake is a little bit different than what I had done originally. Um, so I mean, if whenever I get more subscribers or something, I will do another Gravity Man film, but don't expect it to be the exact same story, and definitely don't expect it to be as good as the original one was, because nothing could top that particular one. There are certain films that I have done in the past that, yeah, I will remake it because I know I can do it better than what I did originally. Um, Perfect example is the Spider-Man movie. I hated my version of Spider-Man. I hated that movie so much. And most of it was, the storyline was kind of weird, but, you know, I think the biggest thing I didn't like about my Spider-Man film was how much minifigure parts I went through. Well, I appreciate your support on a new Gravity Man film. So, I mean, I at least know one person will watch it. But I definitely know that there's quite a few other people who are going to be like, who is this character and why are they a thing? So, I don't know. I'll tinker around with the idea of it, but don't expect to see another Gravity Man movie, or at least a remake of Gravity Man, for quite some time. So if I decide to do it and go ahead and pull the trigger on it, then I'll go ahead and, obviously jumpstart it and pull the trigger on it. But um, that's just one of those things that it's gonna take time to not really feel comfortable doing it. It's gonna take time to actually, for me to get it where I want it to be. So, because there's a lot of videos that I've scrapped over the years, especially on this new channel, that I shot, and they didn't really work. Um, I have shot multiple portions, multiple, um, you know, videos and ideas and whatever that I've tossed around over the years. Like there was one where I want to say like Deadpool breaks, shatters reality because he's trying to fight Doctor Strange or whatever, and then it just unleashes a whole bunch of excess crap. The storyline was there, but the animation didn't make any sense, and it wouldn't have. It would never make sense because I can't do green screen work. So all of the special effects that were needed for something like that wouldn't be there. That would be a good sequel. Wait. That'd be a cool sequel for fans of the original. Yeah, doing a sequel would be, but basically, the only really good series I've actually released on this channel was, and it was done completely by accident, was the Target Deadpool series. I don't know what made that series such a success, but that is by far my most popular series I have ever released, and probably will ever release on this channel. And it was done completely by accident. I was bored one night and I just started throwing Lego parts on the table. I was taking random pictures of, here and there. And about an hour later, I had the first part done. I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. I did a quick voiceover for what I was, thinking it should have been how it should have been voiced over. And I'm like, okay, this might work. Okay, come up with a title. I came up with the title. And 4 parts later, it's by far one of my best, stop motions to date. and which is kind of sad when you think about it, because on my old channel I had a lot of really good or fairly decent stop motions. None of them were really great, just because they were always choppy. But I will never forget my most popular video, and I still don't know how it was how it was as popular as it was. It was the Ghostwriter versus Ghostwriter video that had like well over 50,000 something views, and over I don't even remember how many likes it had, but it was a ridiculous amount. And I'm like, why? It's such a cringeworthy video. But somehow that was my most popular video I had ever released, and that's the only time, or the only one that I've ever, the only video I've ever done that has ever gotten that many views. To this day, I've never gotten any other videos have that many views, and I probably never will again. So yeah, it sucks, but I can't change that. Yeah, I think my favorite Ghostwriter project I ever did, actually, now I think about it, I didn't really have, a favorite Ghostwriter project, because the movie that I did was not bad, but it was basically my Spider-Man project with Ghostwriter. You know, instead of Norman Osborn going around stealing I guess it was the powers of Spider-Man or whatever, basically it was his blood, just like it was in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. It was Danny Ketch stealing all the powers of Ghost Riders to be able to take down the devil or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know it was beyond weird. And it wasn't bad. It didn't really make much sense. So for now, we're going to stick the torso over here while we build the helmet. But I honestly think my favorite movie that I ever released on my old channel would have to be between Kruger and Gravity Man, because the Gravity Man movie was not really a heartfelt story, because it had nothing to do with anything heartfelt related, but it had a really good character development type moments throughout most of the film, and it also had a really, really good character lineup and design. The designs weren't great, but that's also because I didn't do my own custom designs back then. It's whatever I could find on the internet and then made into actual figures. Now I can create my own designs and go from there. And that's what now most of my characters are. They're all custom made, hand drawn designs. Which, yes, actually does kill my wrist all the time. I have people ask me all the time, does that hurt your wrist after drawing all those things? Yes it does, absolutely. Especially Spider-Man designs, and most, if not all, like Batman and Punisher designs. So shit, I just dropped a piece. Technical difficulties. I dropped a fairly important, very small piece. Shit. Ah, there it is. Little bastard. Okay. Got it. So, I think another one of my little favorite projects that I've done on this channel, um, aside from obviously Target Deadpool, um, would I'd probably have to choose between. Welcome. I'm probably going to mispronounce your name. Roberta Sablina. I think that's how you pronounce your name. If I mispronounce it, please forgive me. I am terrible when it comes to pronouncing names. So I hope I pronounced your name right. So, welcome to Ultimate Deadpool Studios. But I think one of my favorite projects that I've done on this channel, and it's going to sound cliche, was actually Metalhead's origin story, because some people don't know this. Metalhead is actually one of my favorite characters that I've ever created, simply on his voice and unique minifigure design. Because while his design is fairly basic, it's got its own. I think I skipped a piece. Oh shit. Hold on, I have to redo half of the helmet. But it's got its own special sound to it, I guess, that makes it eerie. Because Metalhead has a terrifying ass voice. And I get people asking me all the time if Metalhead's voice hurts my voice. I don't think I've ever had a character's voice hurt more than Metalhead's. Simply because Metalhead's is more dark, gritty, and organic. So, while also trying to be organic. So his voice is definitely one to recreate. But it's also very easy to slip into, if that makes any sense. Like I can do Metalhead's voice, just without trying because I've done it for so long. But getting his voice exact the way it was originally supposed to sound is almost impossible, because I came up with his voice by accident. I was throwing around some ideas. Well, I had a whole bunch of my throat was unbelievably dry, and I hadn't had any water in like, I don't know, an hour and a half, and my throat was super super dry, and I started to try to talk to do a voiceover for him. I heard, sorry, it glitched out there. I didn't go any farther on the story, but when I did the voice, and it was all basically my voice was super super dry and everything, and I played it back, and then I heard it on camera. I'm like, oh my god, that's the perfect voice, and I can't recreate something like that because half the time, ever since then, I've made sure that my voice is properly hydrated before I do virtually any demonic sounding character like Ghostwriter and Metalhead, because their voices make me lose my voice. I've actually had to scrap or postpone several videos because such hell on my own voice. So, as weird as it sounds, yes, Metalhead is definitely one of my favorite characters that I've made, but his voice is also the hardest on mine. So it's one of those things that, yeah, it makes for a really good character, but at the same time it also completely kills my voice at the same time. What the hell did I do with the decals? Oh boy, we're back to the decal mess again. I'm sorry if the live... Shit. Well, that's okay. I will just for now it'll be like that, and then when I've, you know, okay, it's just basic stuff. Okay. Slight Crisis Averted. Is that supposed to be? Oh yeah, it's supposed to be all the way up. Well, hopefully I find the decals, because that's seriously going to tick me off if I can't find them. Okay, bag number 2. That's so weird. I don't think I did anything with them. Well, oh well. Where were we at? We were talking about voices, the metalhead voices and stuff like that. Oh well. So anyway, you guys get the gist. Doing certain voices for certain characters is not so good on my actual voice. Okay, that's seriously starting to tick me off that I can't find the decals. Oh well. Worst case scenario, I'll just print something out. Make mine a little bit different than everybody else's. So let's go ahead and build pepper pots. Now, again, I've said this before and I will say it again. Do not expect any female, simply because I cannot do a female voice. I don't do female voices anymore. So, and it's not a sex thing. It's not a lady thing. It's not anything like that. I cannot make my voice sound like a woman. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Yay, we are almost there. I'll look for the decals later. I just hope that the... Whoop. What's the best attempt you've ever done on a female voice? That's actually a good question. It was the in the original Krueger film, there was a moment when Freddy is talking to his wife, and she, like, I can't remember what she did. I want to say she, like, found Freddy's tell anybody what you saw there or something, and she, like, says yes, Frederick, or something like that, and it was really, really badly done. I want to say there was another time where a kid said, a lady kid, or a little girl or whatever, said something to Freddy. Freddy Krueger, or the freaking Krueger film, had a bunch of female characters because I couldn't just make them all boys, because I couldn't make them all boys. But the Krueger especially had a lot of, or at least a few moments where I had to do female voice, and because of how bad it was, I've never done it again, or never did it again. So I am missing a piece, and it's blue. Okay, I was looking for a gray one. So yay. But yeah, that was definitely the first, or at least my best attempt to do a female voice for anything, was in Krueger. Ever since that particular video or movie, I have never done it again, and never considered doing it again. simply because I don't want to tick off any female viewers that I actually am able to have on this channel, because believe it or not, there was actually a 50-50 ratio last time I looked at my YouTube stats. So it's actually 50-50. And I want to keep it 50-50. So to do that, I don't offend any ladies by doing female voices. As ridiculous as that does sound. Let's see. Okay. So I see that this part connects here. Looks like there's a silver plate that, haha, gunmetal. I always love, this was always one of my favorite Lego molds that they did in for a 1x2. It's the original gold and silver ingots that they released. I don't know what it is about these pieces, but I absolutely love them because of, not actually, I don't really know why, but I like those designs. I like the textures, and sometimes they're really nice when they're metallic. And this one has like a gunmetal style color. It's the little things that make me happy. it's the little things. So let's see. There's the square. So if I do some random nonsense chit chat without the stream, it's because typically when I build stuff, I usually talk to the set that I'm putting together and trying to figure out how it goes together. So I definitely expect that type of randomness moving forward. as ridiculous as it's gonna sound, because trust me, my family members have actually yelled at me for stuff like that. They're like, "Shut up!" I'm like, "Well, I can't help it. I talk to the set to figure out how to put it together. It helps me put it together faster sometimes." Which I think a lot of people actually do. I'm pretty sure there's tons of people that talk to what they're putting together, so that way it helps them figure out how to put it together. I want to say there's several scientists and stuff that actually did that, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure on that. That's an interesting piece. I was gonna say, I know there's a lot of people who do stuff like that. I don't remember. I can't name any off the top of my head, but I want to say there's tons of people who have like intricate conversations with themselves, just so that way they can figure out a solution to a problem that they're having. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but I know that there's a lot of people who do, or I actually know 3 people who do that. And funny of which, 3 of them used to work at the same Home Depot that I do now, or which is where my job is. There was a guy I used to work with. He would have an entire freaking a lot of what you expect me to do, or come on, or cursing. yeah, that's about right. I've definitely been down that road before. I think the biggest thing I ever cursed at, when I was putting something together was, and DC Mills, you may recognize this, was the pumpkin head Halloween decoration that I put together, or the thing that we call pumpkin head. That was by far the most yelled at project I think I've ever done. Yeah. That was by far my most yelled at project that I've ever done, because there were a lot of things that I did with that build that I thought would work, and they did not. So I actually threw something at it when I was putting it together. Um, I remember I was drinking a Dr. Pepper bottle, or drinking Dr. Pepper, and something broke on Pumpkinhead or something. I don't remember exactly what happened because it happened a while ago. But I actually threw um, a Dr. Pepper bottle at Pumpkinhead because he was pissing me off, and or because I couldn't figure out something on it, and it was I was cussing up a storm with it. But yeah, so I had my moments with that particular build. So, but it's fine now. Everything is put together on it, and it's working just fine. What the hell is this? Oh, okay, I see it now. Okay, there we go. I believe I am working on the arms of the Ironmonger. I see a decal already, and like I said earlier, I seem to have misplaced the decals that I had, which doesn't make any sense because I haven't been anywhere else. It should all be on the table still, but my table is a scary ass mess because of all of my projects and videos and stuff that I do over here. So yay. Okay. There's that, and we need to. How's PH Pumpkinhead now? He's not bad. He's actually in my garage right now. Because that thing is so big. Unfortunately, I can't take it to the same storage facility. Where all the other. Oh, it's a leg. Okay, I was working on a leg this whole time. I thought it was the arm. But because that particular build is so big, he stands like 8 feet tall. And yes, his legs are bent. But that particular thing is so tall and it's so big that it is not easy to transport. So because of that, it just stays in my garage all year round. Fun story. It actually almost scared my grandmother. It scared the shit out of my grandmother on my mom's side. To where she literally came knocking on the door, or practically banging down the door, because it scared the shit out of her one time. I can't remember what she went in the garage for, but she opened the door, screamed her head off, and my bedroom is right next to the garage door, so I heard her scream. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning or something, and I was working on Pumpkinhead, and she opens the door, screams her ass off, and I came running outside because I thought something was seriously wrong. And I see her literally like clenching her chest because it scared her so much. I'm like, what happened? And she's like, your damn pumpkin scared me. I'm like, I'm sorry. So I remember I was laughing so hard after she said that. I was laughing so much. But I felt so bad at the same time because, it wasn't, I mean, it was supposed to scare somebody, but I wasn't expecting that much of a reaction to it. My family members hate Halloween because of me. Um, yeah, you could say that. Oh, poor Granny. But my family members actually hate me on Halloween because every year on Halloween I go all out. This past Halloween, everyone dressed up as Ghostbusters. Simply because of my truck. For those of you who don't know, I have a 2004 Chevy Avalanche that I custom built into a Ecto 1 style vehicle. So basically, all the stuff that's on my truck is as close to as I can get to the original car from the actual Ghostbusters film. It has the roof rack, it's got the lights, it's got the blue hose and ladder and stuff on the side, and it's all perfectly street legal. So that's even better. But because of that, my whole family to dang it! Now I've got that song stuck in my head. But because of that, my family members and I decided to be the same thing um, for this year on Halloween. So I ordered 6 Proton Packs from Spirit of Halloween. Each were $100, so that tells you how, just on that, on how expensive my Halloween was this year. I also had to make a, and of course it's got a, yeah. So yeah, my Halloween was very expensive this year, and then also aside from making Pennywise, one of my brother's best friend's dads wanted this pumpkin Slenderman thing. I can't even describe what it was, but he said he wanted it to be 7 feet tall, and he had this gigantic plastic pumpkin decoration that he was going to spray paint white, and then that was going to become Slenderman, I guess. I don't know. I didn't ask questions on that. I just said, you know what? I'm just going to make this thing to shut you up, and I'm going to take it to your house, and I did. And when we went to go deliver it, we probably had the best reaction to my truck ever. There was this little old man walking his dog, and I kid you not, his jaw dropped to the floor when we passed by him. And I had my green lights and stuff on because you can't have blue lights. So that's the one downside about doing that, is you cannot have red and blue lights. So I just stuck with one big green LED bar, and this freaking old man's jaw literally like dropped to the floor when he saw my truck pass by, and he was mouthing the words, "Oh my God, that is cool." So I think that was funny, but and then obviously building the truck was expensive too, because the roof rack was basically just built out of PVC pipe and wood, and then a couple of pipe clamps here and there. But other than that, it's all still as close to the movie as I could get. Sorry about that. I actually had to reorder the roof rack bars because mine did not come with a roof rack pre-built into it. Because if that was the case, then it would have been a lot easier. And honestly, I'm kind of glad that it didn't, because it's going to be much easier to have it be removed or removable versus having to unbolt everything, take it off of the one that's already there, and then go do what I need to do. Because my truck has a lot of cosmetic damages because of whoever had it before me did not take care of it. So because of that, I needed the roof rack to be removable, so that way I could put all the stuff on, and then when I'm ready to get it, fixed and painted, I can just take everything off, and then once it's done, just put everything back on. So yeah, so that was when I ordered them originally. They came in and they were literally 5 inches too short to fit on the truck correctly. So I had to send those back, wait till I got my money back, reorder or order a longer set or longer size, and then wait for those to come in. And then when they finally did, it was, I think, September or something when they finally came. We had to test fit the bars up on the vehicle, and then once we got them on there and sturdy, I had to go take it for a quick test drive, make sure everything was properly secure and it wasn't going to fly off, because I didn't want it to be in the middle of the road and then all of a sudden everything goes flying and causes a major accident. So that was fun. But because of that, it took forever to get that part done. Now, some of you guys have seen my Proton Pack. I went more out on my Proton Pack than I did with any of my other family members. All of my other family members, their packs are as basic as you can get. Theirs it's the design is still there, but it basically you push the button, it does its standard thing, and then it shuts itself off after so long. My pack, I was actually able to upgrade it, to what it looked and did more like what it did in the movie. So, and then all those upgrades and stuff, those were about maybe $100 or so each. Well, not each, but in total. Um, and literally all of that was done just to get it ready for one day out of the whole year. But I didn't just do it for that because I watched this documentary. Some of you guys may have seen this. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Ghost Heads. And every single state in the U.S. has its own Ghostbuster squadron that goes out and does charity work. And I've always wanted to do some form of charity work just because it's, something I've always wanted to do. But I could never figure out what and where to do it. So, yeah, unfortunately, I can't find the siren for it. I have legitimately tried to find the Ecto siren, but and you also have to have a special license or special permit to have a siren on your vehicle. Out in the country, it's not as big of a deal, but since I am, in a city, it does have to be street legal. Now, technically, I could write a letter to my city saying, I'm doing a replica. Is it okay if I do this? And typically, they let you do it. Just because the city, like everybody else, likes seeing people do stuff like that. So I'm imagining that they would say that it'd be okay, but I'm not going to go ahead and do it and then go ahead and get the siren and everything and then get pulled over and basically get arrested simply because I put a stupid siren on my truck. I actually got pulled over for the first time not too long ago for the stupidest reason. The cop said said this, but I'm calling BS on him. He said that I cut off, and this was at like 10:30 at night. I was coming back from Home Depot, and he pulled me over at 10:30 at night for either turning wrong or I can't remember exactly what the stupid charge was or the stupid reason was. But he pulled me over and said that I cut off a Jeep as I was turning. Before I saw the cop behind me, he was like right behind me. And I thought he was going to pull me over for officers before I even thought about putting those on. Or before I even ordered those. And, that's what I thought he was going to pull me over for. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do my best to not freak out. And I'm going to just go ahead and pull over and do what I need to do. So I pulled over and he said, hey, you know why I stopped you? I said, no, officer, but I'm sure you're about to tell me. He said, well, when you were making that turn just a few minutes ago, or just a few seconds ago, you accidentally cut off this Jeep, and they had to switch lanes so that way they could, confiscate for you. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, officer. I didn't notice any Jeeps. I showed him my stuff. He let me go. No big deal. No harm, no foul. And I'm pretty sure he just pulled me over, and my whole family agrees with me. We're all pretty sure that he just pulled me over just to look at my truck, which a lot of cops do. If they see a nice vehicle or something, they'll do something like that. But I'm like that. I was just calling BS on the guy. I'm pretty sure I'm working on the foot of the Ironmonger right now. Okay, now that there's nobody watching the stream, I'm going to try to look for the stupid stickers that I have misplaced. I knew I should have put that in a safer place. Okay, what the hell? I don't know. But I found the stickers, so yay! Now I can quickly fix this thing because it's starting to drive me nuts that I don't have any decals on it. I don't know why this counter stopped at 0, but I don't know. That's enough. And I think there's 2 more on his kneecaps. I think there's 2 other stickers on his knees. Yep. God bless Lego boxes and their ridiculous amounts of detail. Because they literally just take photos of the sets that they have and then position them. So, yay. And I think this will catch me up to where it's not going to be absolutely mind-jarring on how much... Wait a minute. Crap. I pulled the wrong sticker. Any of y'all ever done that? Freaking pulled the wrong sticker for your Lego thing and then you have to try to freaking quickly put it back onto the other piece or onto the paper so that way it doesn't dry up and get messed up. I hate that when that happens. I think I did that. Actually, now that I think about it, I've done that with every single Hulkbuster I've ever put together. And yes, I consider this particular build a Hulkbuster because while it's not really a Hulkbuster, it's supposed to be Obadiah Stane's, Iron Man attempt suit. It's the size of a Hulkbuster. Exactly. It's like, crap, where do I put it now? That is so true. I think I've every single Hulkbuster style build I have ever done, I've done that with at least one decal. I went to go get it because I thought it was the one that I needed, and then it ended up being wrong, and then I had to go back and fix it, and it just didn't look right. It honestly looks like he's... The Ironmonger right now is just a survivor. Like, he's lost his legs, he's lost his arms, he's just like, what do you want? That's what it looks like. That's, oh my god. He's like, what do you want? I'm sorry, I have fun with stupid things like that. But that's what it looks like. To me, that's what it looks like through the camera. Like, in reality, it doesn't look like that. But through the camera, that's what it looks like. I know, it's ridiculous of how weird places my brain goes when I'm putting stuff like this together. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely a foot that I'm putting together right now. So, let's see. Nice. Oh shit, now I have to go and do this all over again. Yay! Why didn't they just say that to begin with? I hate... That's the biggest thing I can't stand with Lego instructions. They have you do all of this stuff, and then at the very end of the stupid page, it says ×2, so do this all over again. So basically, it says go back to the freaking start of the thing, and then start it all over again. I cannot stand it when freaking Lego does that crap. Which, and I understand why they do it. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. because that you could have easily just done it. And this may just be me. I may just be the only person in the world who does, or one of the few people in the world who do this. But it's like, why tell you that now? You know, and yes, I can see that there's a times two up here, but it's like, okay, you know, why not just have them side by side with each other, and then you build them both at the same time? Saves you so much time. But I don't know. I'm weird. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being weird. To a point. Let's see if I can get this piece in here without it falling. Oh, shit. Oh. There it is. And there we go. Yay! Okay. I don't know why it just glitched out there for a second. Okay. Trying to think of a really good little story to tell while I figure this out. Oh, shit. I think that was a design flaw that Lego did. Is there any particular type of stories that you guys want to hear while I put this thing together? Because I have a bunch of weird shit that I could be talking about right now. Mostly it's all just recent events that just like, what in the hell is this? I always have a lot of people asking me questions about my YouTube channel and everything in general. Or in that in general. But this is a strict Q&A thing, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. Tell away. On what? Just anything, or is there anything in particular? Oop, shit. I put those on backwards. Come on. Nah. Yeah, if there's a particular type of story you want to hear, just feel free to ask it. You know, you're the only one watching the show right now, so even though there's not much show because it's just Monger literally sitting on his ass. Oh, real quick, before I, possibly start any weird, ridiculous stories. This particular build is going to show up in the final part of the Day the World Ended series, but not the way you expect. So, just be aware of that. It's going to be, and it's not going to be called the Ironmonger either. So just as a heads up, when it does show up in the Day the World Ended, because I rewatched the second part that I made. Not in particular anything interesting. I'm trying to think of a really good, interesting one. Where was I? I rewatched the second part that I had already filmed and voiced over for the day the world ended, and I didn't like the direction it went, so I'm going to reshoot it and redo it probably tomorrow. And it's the final part, so it's gonna have, this next part of it is going to be the final part of it. Now, speaking of which, we're on the final bag, so yay, we're almost done. But it's this particular suit is not going to be called the Ironmonger. I can't say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it for people who are wanting this. This suit is going to show up, but it's not going. Why is this thing so glitchy? I think part of it is just the Lego static, or the Lego bags making noise, because that tends to throw off the Wi-Fi connections too. Okay, now I'm on the arms. Yay! Alright, let's build Obadiah's. I like Obadiah Stane's look in this minifigure. Over my head. But I don't remember him actually wearing a three-piece suit when he's in the Ironmonger. I could be wrong. I want to say he was in like a white. I actually have the official Legos Clark Kent, but and I have a suit somewhere, but I think it's being held up by Norman Osborn's figure right now, because I did a custom Norman Osborn for a future Spider-Man film. Speaking of which. Like I said earlier, I absolutely hated the Spider-Man movie that I made on my old channel because of what I did to so many minifigures. I lost, 45 minifigures trying to make that video. So, yeah. And also the storyline just didn't really make much sense. But I'm pleased to announce that hopefully it will be my first project of 2022. I'm going to do not really a remake of that movie. It's going to be more of like an origin story. So stay tuned for that. It's going to basically be based off of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy version of Peter Parker. So definitely expect to see him go up against Bonesaw McGraw, just like he did in the 2002 movie, which is actually where I'm going to get most of my inspiration to do said Spider-Man film. So I am missing a piece, either that or I'm just not looking for the right color. What? Oh, there it is. So yeah, that it's going to be an origin story for Spider-Man. So which I know has been done way too many times, just like Batman. Speaking of Batman, we'll get to my thoughts on the Batman here in a little bit. Bones is ready. Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite scenes as a kid. Because back then, when that movie first came out, I was watching, wrestling like WWE, and stuff like that. I was watching stuff like that as a kid, and I have a story to share on that behalf, in a minute. But I absolutely loved it, and the fact to see Randy Savage as freaking Bonesaw McGraw was like, for me as a 3-year-old, I absolutely enjoyed every second of that scene. Because while I recognized him as, you know, Randy Savage in the, WWE, I can't remember his actual in-ring character name. But it was fun to see him as Bonesaw as a kid. Um, so if you want a really weird, embarrassing Ultimate Deadpool story, um, WWE is how I learned to count to 3. That's not a joke either. Um, back in 2001, or back in like early 2003, I was about 2 years old. And Stone Cold Steve Austin was by far my favorite wrestler, and is still by far my favorite wrestler of all time. And I'm sure he's the same thing with a lot of other wrestling fans. It's Stone Cold and The Rock and Undertaker and all them. They're all people's typical favorites. But when I was a kid, by far my favorite was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he still is. But anytime the referee went to go for a pin, I always ran and slid to start slapping my hand on the ground, counting with the referee. And that is how I learned to count to 3. I say if you don't believe me, ask my mother, but she's not in the same room as me right now. And she is probably well asleep already. So, yeah, that is probably one of my most embarrassing stories because of how ridiculous it is. But I swear to God, that is 100% true. That is where I learned to count to 3, was from freaking WWE in early 2003. Which wasn't supposed to rhyme, but you get the point. So, yeah, if you guys wanted to know anything ridiculous about me or anything like that, I learned to count to 3 by watching wrestling. So, but it's just one of those things that it's beyond stupid, but that's one thing I never understood. My mother and I were talking not too long ago, and I don't remember what the conversation was, but somehow it got to me being a kid, and she's like, "Yeah, that's how you learn to count to 3. Is anytime the freaking referees would do their whole slide thing, you would run in and freaking start slapping your hand on the floor." So, wait, I didn't see the last comment. Very interesting. Yeah, I can honestly picture myself in a freaking diaper or pull-up or whatever, basically naked, running across the room, sliding and freaking slapping my hand on the floor. Apparently she has videos of it somewhere or pictures of it somewhere, but yeah, according to my mother, that is how I learned to count to 3. And I was going to say, I think I got that wrong. No, I did. So, yeah. Very, very odd story, to say the least. But, okay. Now for the, oh shit moment. Because I only say that because I'm sure this is going to take off anybody else who watches this stream up to this point. I've had people ask me what are my thoughts on Robert Pattinson's Batman movie that's coming out next year. Oh boy. It doesn't look bad. I will give it that. It doesn't look bad, but my personal favorite Batman was between Christian Bale and Michael Keaton. And again, I'm old school, so when I first saw Christian Bale, I was young, so I always thought that was a continuation of Christian Bale's Batman. I didn't realize it was a remake until later. That's why when Joker came into the mix, I'm like, why? I thought he died. So I didn't know it was a remake back then. So I had no idea. But When I liked Michael Keaton as Batman in the first two films. I do not like Batman Returns, simply because the Penguin is just beyond disgusting, and that which I know he's supposed to technically be. And I love Danny DeVito as an actor. He is a phenomenal actor. He does his best in, or he did his best in Batman Returns. But for me, the design of the Penguin was just, I didn't like it. It was too disgusting. And because of that, I watched Batman Returns. You know, if it's on, I'll watch it. But other than that, I don't watch that movie at all. Um, but it's not to say that it's a bad movie. It's actually a really good movie, um, both critically and visually. It's amazing. But it's for me, it was the Penguin that Jim Carrey was made for the Riddler. I think if I had to pick Jim Carrey in any other DC supervillain position, I would have him play either the Joker or his frenemy in Batman Forever, Two-Face, because I think Jim Carrey could pull off the seriousness portion of Two-Face while also being psychotic. Um, so that might sound cliche, but honestly, I think Jim Carrey would actually be a really good choice for a version of Two-Face. Now, I've seen speculations and stuff that Warner Brothers actually wants Jim Carrey to play an older Joker, which would make sense because, again, Jim Carrey is a phenomenal actor, and has a lot of an entire career full of really good films. Some of which are better than others. Like The Mask is definitely one of the best Jim Carrey performances because it basically shows Jim Carrey at his best. Batman Forever, the whole Riddler and the tight suit and everything doesn't really work for most people. It definitely was kind of weird to see Jim Carrey in tights in that movie. But he did his best he did a really good job as the Riddler. And if you ask me, he's definitely the best choice to play Riddler. Edward Nash, I think his name is... No, that's his movie character name in the new Batman movie. But the actor who plays the Riddler in the Batman, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like he's going to do the guy is going to do a bad job. But when I think of the Riddler, I think of a guy who is a major Batman and Bruce Wayne fan and is just leaving clues because he wants to get caught, or he wants Batman to figure out his plans. And that's just, for me, that's weird. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Yeah, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. That's another one of Jim Carrey's many roles. I think that was actually one of his first ones, if not his first one. And he absolutely nailed that role or those movies. I need to watch those again. I haven't watched those in forever. Wow. I think the last time I watched Ace Ventura was in 2015, something like that. So it's been a long time since I've seen that. Yeah, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. But so that, and then Val Kilmer did a really good Batman. He is a horrible voice of Kit from Knight Rider. Hungry fellas? Yeah. But for me, the original Batman films are corny as hell, especially Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. But that's what makes them such fun movies. Because I know I'm sure a lot of people are going to hate me for this. I actually like George Clooney's Batman and Robin. I know. Oh my God, you've cursed us all, and oh my God, go to hell, Ultimate Deadpool. Well, yes, I like Batman and Robin to a point. And the reason why I say to a point is because Batman and Robin is just as good as Batman Forever if you take out a few minor changes. If you change a few minor things. Number one, don't have Arnold Schwarzenegger say all the ice puns and stuff that he does throughout the entire movie. Every now and then, okay, fine. Every single sentence that comes out of Mr. Freeze's mouth, not at all. Second, do not have Poison Ivy be in the movie at all. Or if you do, definitely do not have her played by I take that back. The actress who played Poison Ivy actually did really, really well. I can't remember what my thing was for Poison Ivy in that movie that I didn't care for, but definitely change that. Let's see. Do not have George Clooney play Batman at all, because George Clooney is a good voice for Batman, but not a good body for Batman, if that makes any sense. Like I can picture George Clooney voicing Batman for like a movie or a show or something, but not playing him in an actual film. And I think that's what I didn't really like about Batman and Robin was George Clooney, which, is typical. But I am missing a piece, and well, shit. And then also Bane. Terrific design for Bane. I can't remember the actor who played him, but he did his best as that character. But have Bane actually be smart. Don't have him be an idiot. Because again, that doesn't really make much sense if you're going to have Bane. And I can understand they wanted to do a more realistic Bane. Because if your brain is covered in chemicals and stuff like that, or is being fed those type of chemicals, it's going to completely mess you up. And yes, you probably wouldn't be as smart as Bane is in the comic books, but that's also what makes Bane Bane. So that's another thing I would change. And other than that, Chris O'Donnell did really good as Robin. Alicia Silverstone did her best as Batgirl. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I absolutely loved as Mr. Freeze, with the exception of his annoying ice puns. George Clooney, wasn't the best Batman, but definitely wasn't the worst. It could have been a lot. Well, actually, no. George Clooney probably was the worst Batman. But it could have been a lot worse, and I think it's kind of sad that so many people criticize that movie just because of the subtle things that they could have changed that would have made it much, much better. And I am seriously missing a piece, and I don't see what happened to it. Crap, and this piece is actually going to completely put me back on the build. It's basically one of these pieces, except longer. Great, now we're back to square one with the Lego decal thing. Except I already know where the Lego decals are, but now I'm missing a fairly crucial piece. Or at least what I'm guessing to be a fairly crucial piece. Shit. Okay, back to Batman. So, like I said earlier, my favorite version of Batman is the Dark Knight trilogy. Batman Begins was a really good movie. The Dark Knight was by far one of my favorite Batman movies. Batman, The Dark Knight Rises was okay. I mean, it wasn't my favorite movie, but it definitely wasn't the, you know, worst Batman movie either. Um, and then, I didn't have a problem with Ben Affleck as Batman. I think the biggest thing I didn't like about that was the fact that they tried to rush everything with that. Because they were trying to play catch up with Marvel. And that's why I didn't really care for the DCEU, because it's even their name just is screams, "Oh yeah, we're trying to play catch up with Marvel and their MCU and blah 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 blah." So it's one of those things that that is seriously gonna piss me off. I cannot find that freaking piece, and I can't continue because I don't know if it's an important piece. But anyway, um, so my thoughts on Robert Pattinson as the Batman. Um, it does, like I said earlier, it doesn't look bad. I will definitely go and see it in the theater, which I normally don't do, just to see how it works. I do like the brutality in it, though. I'm a sucker for anything brutal. So I'm excited to see that particular part. Um, I think, however, because and I know that Matt Reeves has said that it's supposed to be a Batman Year 2 type story. So Batman's been at it for 2 years. He kind of knows the roots on it, and he's going to be ready to go. So it looks like this is actually an arm cannon. So I can actually put this off to the side until I can get that part replaced. Even though I really don't want to do that. But it looks like it's going to be a decent movie. Um, okay. I actually have a replacement part for the piece that I'm missing. And oddly enough, I just took it off of Darth Vader, and I just found the piece that I need because it's sitting right in front of me, and I'm a complete moron. So yay! All of that for nothing. So okay. So Robert Pattinson, I absolutely couldn't stand in the Twilight Saga because I hated the Twilight Saga to begin with. I know there's a lot of people who do, and there's also a lot of people who like it. If you guys like the movie, that series, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Personally, though, the whole most of the subplots in that movie felt forced, and it just for me just did not work at all. But that I can think of off the top of my head, and it was actually one of his first movies, if not his first movie, was when he was in Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire, as Cedric Diggory. I really liked him in that movie. Yes, it was a smaller role compared to all the other cast members, but his performance in it was still fun. It was still really nice. It was really good, and I think he did a really good job in that role. But in this new Batman movie, I actually think this is going to be one of his best movies ever. So I'm anxious to see what they do with it. Like I said earlier, the Riddler for me on this movie just doesn't look like it's going to make much sense because, like I said, the Riddler. When I think of the word the Riddler, I think of Jim Carrey, obviously, because obviously, but I also think of a guy who's just a big Bruce Wayne fan who is also a Batman nerd and really just wants to have Batman figure out his plans or something, so that way he can I don't know. I don't know what I think when I think the Riddler, but bottom line is I think Jim Carrey. And I just broke Ironmonger. Yay! I broke his arm off. That's odd. Is that supposed to be like that? Great. Now this is a part of the builds where you go back and you question half the shit that you've done. Yay! Ugh. It's too late for this crap. 100%. Okay, did I seriously skip a piece? Or pieces? I don't think I did. But I also don't think there's supposed to be a huge gap there either. No, it doesn't look like I skipped anything. Oh, I see what I did. Okay. Technical glitch here. I screwed up something. I'm fixing it real fast. So, just bear with me for a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. I think I actually completely screwed this up. Crap. I have to take apart half of the Ironmonger. Well, I thought I was almost done. Turns out I'm not. I have to completely pull apart half of it because I screwed up his upper torso. At least that's what it looks like. I'm hoping it's a quick and easy fix because otherwise I'm going to cry. Shit. Yep, that's exactly what happened. This bottom plate has to be up here, which means over half of the thing has to be taken apart and freaking switched out with the other piece that is actually supposed to be there. So, wow, that really sucks because now I have to go all the way back and freaking do all this crap all over again. Terrific. Although, it looks like it should just be a quick, easy fix. Oh, shit. I say that as freaking shit falls all over the place. Ouch. Just stabbed myself in the finger. Okay, let's flip that there. And let's try to see if I can put this back together via memory. I didn't take everything apart because that would have been ridiculous, but I just switched the panels back the way they were supposed to, and hopefully in just doing that will allow it to work better. I'm hoping, because otherwise, again, I'm going to cry. Okie dokie. Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. Okay, I was able to fix 70 most of this. So don't panic. For those of you who are still watching, I was able to quickly fix the parts that I screwed up, so it should just all click back together now, and everything should be just fine. So, but what happened was is these bottom plates that hold up, that make up the Ironmonger, or at least his upper body, these two panels here, this piece was actually up here, so I had to quickly take the basic body panels off and switch them out, or switch those particular parts out. So again, nothing serious, but still I had to go back and fix that, because otherwise the other panels won't line up correctly. So I fixed it, so everything is now lining up just like it's supposed to. So yay. That's another thing I tend to do sometimes with Lego builds. If I'm not focusing straight on the build and I'm focusing on something else, like I am doing with this video, I will accidentally screw something up like this and have to go back and fix it. So this actually does happen to me all the time. So don't feel too bad about it. If somebody out here feels bad about it, don't. This happens all the time. So. And I'm already back where I got right there. And yes, I put that thing back on correctly. And click the hit top piece back up here. Voila! Ironmonger is back where it's supposed to be. Helmet is actually up where this piece is supposed to be, so I just had to take those apart and switch it out. Now it's where it's supposed to be, not where I thought it was. So, again, no harm, no foul. I got it fixed. Okay, now I need to find my place on the instruction booklet. Okay, just finished that. Okay, so I'm on step 146. So, yay! I'm back to where I need to be. I knew I should have brought water with me. I didn't expect the live stream to take this long, but you know what? It's been fun. I won't say that. I won't deny that. This has been a fun, interesting live stream. I've gotten to reconnect with a few, subscribers and everything. So that's fun. That's always fun. I like learning more or finding out more about the people who watch my stuff or watch my channel and everything. So it's fun to connect with subscribers and any of y'all out there who are YouTubers. That's definitely one of the best feelings in the world, is when people like the stuff that you do. And then, I've had people multiple times say, "Oh, your video completely changed my day," and whatnot. And I was having a really bad day. I came home and I watched your video and it made my day so much better. That is the greatest feeling on this planet. It's the same reason. Yeah, it's the same reason I built my truck the way I did. I figured if my truck makes somebody else's day better, then it's worth every penny I've put into it. Because I paid $3,500 or $3,500 for the truck itself, which it was a complete shit box when I first bought it, because the front suspension was bad, the interior was all bad, the gauges themselves were bad, both bumpers were bad, the headlights were bad, the grill was bad, the almost all of the bed panels were missing, the upper upholstery was terrible, and it was missing tons of parts in the rear end of it. All of that's been fixed, so yay. And I've put about, just in restoring it to where it's actually safe to be on the road, I think we've put in about maybe $3,000, another $3,000 into getting it fixed. And I would say the main reason why it was like that, but I don't want to be accused of being racist, because the people who had it before us used it as a hardcore labor truck, and they did not take care of it at all. So, and because of that, it was completely worn out and not at all safe to be on the road. Um, so, I'm going to get a little automotive with you guys real quick. The upper control arm on, I think it was the driver's side, was so badly worn out. My dad is a mechanic, and he's the one who did all the work, cosmetic or mechanical work to it. He had said if it was driven any longer than it was, that control arm would have snapped and the entire front end would have collapsed and it would have just completely totaled the car. It was so bad. He said it was actually the worst one he had. One of the worst. One of the worst suspensions he had ever seen. Which is saying something because he has worked on tons of cars. He was working on cars since he was younger than me. So, but yeah, he said if that truck had been driven any longer than it was before we repaired it, that whole front end would have just snapped because it was so badly worn out. He doesn't think it was ever really looked at. And for those of you who are either learning how to drive a car or are in the process of getting a car or having your license or whatever, here's my words of wisdom to you. If you're gonna buy a used vehicle, either check the amount of damage that's been done to it prior, and not to be racist, do not buy from a Mexican group. Not to be racist, but typically, some people that do construction work and stuff like that, do not take care of their vehicles. So definitely make sure that it wasn't used for construction purposes, because 97% of the time, people who own work trucks like that do not take care of them at all. They are literally a tool in their toolbox, and they just use it to get from point A to point B, which isn't always a problem because virtually anything can be repaired. But if you want to do it on the cheap end, do not buy a used construction working truck or vehicle in general, because most of the time they do not work, or if they do, you have to put a ton of extra work into it, and it's half the time it's not really worth it at that point. The only reason why I went ahead and did it is because and I knew my dad could do it because he's actually a specialist in Chevy vehicles. So that was the only reason why I went ahead and went through it. So that is my little words of wisdom for those of you who are fixing to either buy a car or get your license or whatever, or fixing to get your license. Do not, if you're going to buy a used car, which is typically what you should do for your first car because it's basically your crash dummy car, do not get it from a construction crew, or don't buy a vehicle that's been from a construction crew, because typically they do not take care of it. Now some of them do. I've seen people who I actually have a buddy of mine. He's went from Home Depot, and he's going to be in construction, tracking work. And while he doesn't have a truck yet, he takes very good care of his automobiles. And I know this because he actually asked me for help one time. He had this freaking Nissan that was basically a death trap. And he asked me to take a quick look at it and whatnot, and he wanted me to give him my personal opinion on it. And I said, dude, this car is completely unsafe. either scrap it or because it would cost more to fix it than it would to just get a new car. So, but so I don't remember where my head was headed from that. Let's see if maybe. I'm trying to think of another interesting story that's happened throughout my interesting life. I'm trying to think of more YouTube stories to tell because I have a lot of behind the scenes stories for both my old channel and this one. Um, some of which are weird, others are just straight up crazy. I think my worst modern day series that I've done was, at least to me, it seemed like it was the worst. Was the Deadpool Red Brick series. That was a bad idea from the start, and I'm honestly not surprised it didn't get as much of much viewing as I was expecting. I was hoping it was going to get a lot more views than that actually ended up getting. But the original script that I had done for that film or that series was a lot better than what actually happened. So that's the main reason why that series failed. Let's see. Let's. Oops. Dropped a piece. Oh. Where's that? There it is. I'm going to go ahead and do a update for the whole channel as a whole. And this does include Gravity Man's remake in it as well. If I do decide to go ahead and do a Gravity remake, it's probably going to be closer to July or something of next year. So that way that gives me enough time to come up with a decent idea and a better script to do for it. And then like I said earlier, I'm going to remake the Spider-Man movie, but it's not going to be a real remake of the original story. It's actually going to be an origin story based off of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. So, for those of you who liked that original trilogy, it's going to be kind of loosely based off of that. And I've had people ask me this before, and my answer never changes. People always ask me what's my favorite version of Spider-Man, and it's always Tobey Maguire. His performance for me was it was really good. I liked Andrew Garfield as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man, but for me, what I didn't really like about the Amazing Spider-Man movies was what the studio did with those movies. I don't know what it was. I can't explain it that well, but for me, the Amazing Spider-Man series just didn't. Something about it just didn't work. And I know there's a lot of people who like the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I could not stand Amazing Spider-Man 2. That is by far my least favorite Spider-Man movie because of three things. They kill Norman Osborn 10 minutes into the movie. That's strike one. Strike two was the whole Harry Osborn thinking he needs Spider-Man's blood to cure his goblin disease or whatever the hell it is. Strike two. Strike three was Jamie Foxx originally as Electro. I don't know if it was the design that I didn't like or the fact that he has a gap in his teeth and then like when he gets his powers, the freaking accident that he gets into immediately fixes that, which doesn't make any sense at all. So I don't know what it was with that, but I definitely like Jamie Foxx as Electro in Spider-Man No Way Home. But in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I did not care for Jamie Foxx as Electro at all. And then also, if you wanted to get really technical, Strike 4 would be the Rhino, because that was just weird at the end of that. The only thing I really did like about Amazing Spider-Man 2 was the visual effects were unbelievable. I absolutely loved the visual effects for that movie. A lot of them looked very realistic, and it was very well thought out. Visually, it was stunning. Story-wise, it was terrible. Same thing with the Amazing Spider-Man 1. I actually liked Amazing Spider-Man 1 to a point. You know, I like it how, he's more of a kind of a jerk at the beginning of it. Kind of like, oh yeah, I'm smart and you all are dumb and whatever. And like he's trying to fit in and whatnot, but doesn't really fit in. I liked him in that first movie, but then in the second one, again, I don't know what it is. I don't know what really set me off with that movie. It's very hard to describe it, but something just didn't work. But in the Amazing Spider-Man 1, I actually did enjoy, because while, yeah, some of the things were weird and different and whatnot, like Andrew Garfield being kind of a... Yeah, Gwen's death. Gwen's death was actually the only thing I really liked about Amazing Spider-Man 2, because it was done so well. Because it was almost frame by frame. It was done exactly how it was done in the comic books. And that's what I liked about that. So, yeah, Gwen Stacy's death was definitely one of the better parts of Amazing Spider-Man 2. So, again, I know that there's a lot of people who love Amazing Spider-Man, and that's fine. Andrew Garfield did his best as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And I'm sure if they made an Amazing Spider-Man 3, I would watch it, because I liked Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. But personally, my favorite will always be Tobey Maguire. It does not matter how many actors play Peter Parker or Spider-Man. Tobey's my favorite, and he always will be. Not just because, for me, he just did a really good... Looking back at it now, he did such a good job as both characters. And yes, there are people like, well, Tobey Maguire was the best Peter Parker, and Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man, and Tom Holland's decent at both. To me, Tobey Maguire was a really good Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Because in the first Spider-Man movie, when Spider-Man gets his abilities, he has, he basically has no idea. Like, the whole Flash Thompson fight, that was so well shot, because it's basically, he's like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? And it totally works. I don't remember. Now, to be fair, I haven't really watched Amazing Spider-Man recently, but if I remember correctly, he doesn't really have that type of moment in when he's learning that he's got powers. So in that particular shot when Toby is fighting Flash and he's just astounded that he's dodging everything because of his spider sense. That's to me that's what makes that particular scene and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man as a whole more, I don't know, realistic and more like how an actual person would react to something like that. Because if I woke up the next morning and I found out that I had superpowers, yeah, I'd be baffled as all hell like that. So it makes sense that particular scene makes sense. And again, I haven't watched Amazing Spider-Man recently, so I don't remember Andrew Garfield's particular, way of visual of getting his powers. But if I remember correctly, it's a lot different than what Tobey Maguire's was. He's like, if I remember correctly, he like destroys a basketball court or the gymnasium in his school. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely the best backstory out of the original, out of the three actors who've done it. But apparently, there's rumors going around that in the next Tom Holland Spider-Man project, I think it's called Spider-Man Freshman Years or something like that. Apparently, they're going to dive in deeper to Tom Holland's origin stories, and it's actually going to have. This is a rumor. It's actually going to have Tobey Maguire as Uncle Ben, which is cool because then it'll basically be Tobey Maguire going full circle. He started off his Spider-Man career as Spider-Man, and then had the flawless cast of the first movie. And I loved Uncle Ben in the original Spider-Man trilogy. Whoever played him, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but oh my god, that actor did so well as Uncle Ben. I honestly cannot picture anybody else playing Uncle Ben better than he did. The actor that they got for Amazing Spider-Man did pretty well, but really, Aunt May is the only character that you see in any of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and which begs the question: is Uncle Ben still alive in the Tom Holland Spider-Man universe? And if he is, where the hell has he been for Peter's life? Because nobody has given him the "with great power comes great responsibility" speech that every single version of Spider-Man has done. So, and I mean, and you can't have Spider-Man without Uncle Ben, and that's probably one thing I don't like about Tom Holland Spider-Man. I love Tom Holland. He's a really good actor. Yeah, exactly. Where has Ben been? Funny little play on words. But yeah, where has Uncle Ben been? If he's still alive, like, did Aunt May and him get into a fight or whatever, and Uncle Ben left, or did he just, or is what something else? Because like, and especially if he's played by if he's going to be played by Tobey Maguire, like that. Maybe the reason why they held off on Uncle Ben for so long is because they didn't have an actor in place for him, so they just kept putting it off until they got a good enough actor to play for Uncle Ben. Because Tobey Maguire, in his face, still looks as young as he did in 2002. Tobey Maguire does not age. So, it's very easy, and especially with as young as Aunt May is, it's it would be very easy for Toby to become Uncle Ben just because he looks as young as he did in 2002, and since the MCU has a much younger Aunt May, then it would make sense to have Uncle Ben be about the same age or look about the same age as Aunt May is. So it makes sense that they would do that. And I completely forgot the Ironmonger's left hand of fingers. I just noticed that. I completely forgot the fingers on Ironmonger's left hand. Wow, I feel really dumb right now. How did I miss that? That's 4 fingers I completely missed. Then again, it's also like 12:16 in the morning. God damn, it's already that late. I wasn't expecting to be still building this at that time. Luckily, I'm almost done with this. So. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the newest Spider-Man. Like after No Way Home, I'm kind of anxious to see where they take Spider-Man from there. I'm not gonna say any spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the movie yet, but I'm definitely anxious to see where they take that series from there, because it definitely ends with more questions than answers. Which is actually the same reason why I both loved and hated Halloween Kills, because that movie's ending was like, whoa, 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 why did you end it like that? So for those of you who have seen Halloween Kills, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I remember I was watching that movie. Me and my dad and my brother were watching that movie, and then all of a sudden it gets to the end, and I'm like, whoa, 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 no, you can't end that freaking movie there. It's basically the same thing with No Way Home. It answers more questions, or it leaves more questions than it does have answers to. I could be funny and say that this particular Lego build was built out of a box of scraps because it really it technically was. Well, technically it really wasn't, because it still is an actual set. But because Christmas Story is a very odd movie for me around the holiday season, because I both like the movie and I can't stand the movie. Because like anytime it's on, I'll watch it, but other than that, it is a weird movie, and I think that's what people like about it. Um, and again, it goes back to the whole all the actors do their best in with what they were given, and if I'm not mistaken, a lot of people say the same thing about A Christmas Story. It is one of the weirdest freaking Christmas movies, but it's the one that everybody watches around the holidays or around Christmas time. It's all the same thing. I think that's how it's supposed to go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's kind of cool. At least this thing has like a hydraulic style thing. I know, very technical. Well, that's kind of nice. It's got like a little hydraulic thing, so when it moves, that's kind of clever. Wait a minute. Oh, okay, I see where it's at now. I was gonna say, hello, there's a piece missing there. Shit, what the hell? Come on. There we are. Okay, let's see, one more hydraulic thing here. Ow! That hurt. I pinched my finger wrong. Okay, I think that's the basics of it. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier with the Lego Hulkbuster sized armors. Um, they're not at all scaled up with actual minifigures. Um, like this could have easily just been a big fig, and it would have worked just as well instead of building this ginormous freaking Hulkbuster style robot, which is cool. Don't give me. It should have been smaller. I should. What is comes down to. I think this build should have been a lot smaller um, than this. But you know what? That's okay because this is actually a perfect scale for what I'm going to use it for in tomorrow's video. But it is horribly scaled for people like me who are perfectionists who do this for collections and whatnot. It's because people are going to look at you and they're going to be like, well, why is this not to scale with everything else? That's why I never really liked any of the Lego Hulkbusters and stuff that they do, because they're not to scale with the actual Hulk. The Hulk is a fairly bigger minifig, no pun intended. But then you have this Hulkbuster that is beyond was like twice the size of Hulk, when in reality the Hulkbuster is the same size as the Hulk, if not just a little bit taller than the Hulk is. And for me it's weird because I know that the Hulkbuster is the same size as the Hulk. And then when you put them both side by side with each other, they're completely different sizes. And not like it's just a small little thing. No, they're like drastically different in sizes. So yeah, I think that's the Hulkbuster or Iron Monger there. I'm going to just stick all of the extra pieces in the little black box that it says put all the little studs and flat plates and stuff in it. Just so that way I don't lose them. I'm going to go ahead and put all of these little pieces in here. So every time I do a set review, I always do, the whole 1 out of 10, 1 through 10 or whatever. I would give this particular set probably a 8.5 out of 10, because the overall build is cool. if you're doing an action figure style thing, that scale works to a point with like a smaller Iron Man. But for Lego, this is huge, and I just don't understand why they did, because this is technically this is about how big the Hulk, Ironmonger should be, if you're gonna put it to scale. Um, I'm trying here. Yeah, so here's a knockoff Hulkbuster, uh, big fig, and then there's the size of the Hulk. Now I don't have the official Legos Hulkbuster on my desk at the moment, but it's about the same size as the Ironmonger. So it doesn't make much sense on why in the hell they have this ginormous freaking build for such a, and it was going up against a such much smaller figure. Okay, Obadiah is actually supposed to be sitting down. Perfect. So again, it's just one of those nitpicky little things. Like, a perfect example is the new Ghostwriter Hellcharger set that came out in like January of this year. Great build, great set, but the silver Ghostwriter head is what really set me off on that particular video. And honestly, they should have made the charger a little bit wider than what they did. They should have done it in 6 stud scale instead of 4 stud scale. But that's just me. So honestly, I would give this is not a bad Lego set at all. I hope at some point to get at least Made to Fight Hulk. I didn't see the rest of that. Times 2 the size of the Hulk. Yeah, 2 times the size of the Hulk. Yeah, that's about right. So I hope at some point to get the Avengers Compound final battle. They bring this. Hope that they bring that back, and not just keep it exclusively for Thanos. Because I think that'd be nice. But other than that, that is a wrap. So, or in this case, a brick. So, I would honestly give this set, like I said, about an 8.5. I would prefer it to be smaller, but honestly, this is intended for younger kids, and I'm an older guy, so it makes sense on why they did this set the way they did it. They want to have the kids have that nice little playable feature, while also being fairly. Whoops! And I break his finger off as I'm yammering on. They want to have that big playable feature. They definitely want to have the Ironmonger stand out as more of a threat to Iron Man, because I'm sure if you just gave a kid this and whoops, come on, and then that's not as fun. So or for a kid, that's not as fun. So I can understand why they did the Ironmonger this huge, but at the same time, it doesn't really make much sense to me because I'm not a kid. So, but all in all, like I said, I would definitely give this probably a 8.5 out of 10, just because the overall build design is really nice. I love the little hydraulic things that they have on his shoulders. That's a really nice little attention to small details like that. The overall cockpit thing I think is a little too small, or too. For what it is, it's really not that bad at all. The minifigure designs are really nice. I like Pepper Potts. She's got a basic design, basic face print, basic hair design. Iron Man Mark 40 or Mark 3 is by far one of my favorite suits ever, if not my favorite suit. Actually, I take that back. Mark 85, Mark 46, and Hot Rod are my favorite suits. Oh, and Hammerhead. Can't forget Hammerhead. Iron Man Mark III is a really nice suit design, like the metallic golds and whatever that they do. I actually made Mark III a few years ago. I don't remember what happened to it. Same basic Tony Mark 85 head print. I absolutely love the old Iron Man helmets versus the new ones that they released. I cannot stand the new Ultimate Iron Man thing that they did for it. For me, they don't work. I much rather prefer having the original flip-up helmet versus the whole thing as one big thing. Obadiah Stane's design, like I said earlier, I remember his beard being a little bit more white than it is gray in this figure, but all in all, it's not too bad. The arc reactor is not too bad. The overall build isn't bad. The quality for it's Lego, so I mean it's always perfect build quality. So expect to see the Iron Monger in tomorrow's video. Expect to see Iron Man or Mark III in quite a few videos. I may actually have him switch this suit out, or his Mark 85 suit that's in the Day the World Ended series now, with this suit, and that'll explain why Spider-Man decided to have everybody wear their classic suits versus the ones that they've been wearing for the last 25 years. So, just it'll make sense tomorrow. So, but oh, and I've had people on the subject of that series. I've had people ask me, why does Hulk's color change throughout the Day the World Ended, and it's narrowed down to one word: tanning. So, when Hulk was under Thanos' control for so many years, he was always the Hulk. So the Hulk eventually changed colors due to his both age and natural tanning from the sun. So, doesn't make much sense, I know, but just bear with me. It was an excuse to put in this version of the Hulk, which was actually the first version of Hulk I ever had. What's up, LBM? So, you missed the whole video, but I haven't heard from you in a while. How have you been? Oh, I forgot this piece too. I know for a fact that my throat is very dry for speaking for 2.5 hours. My throat is sore, but you know what? That's okay. Uh, you know, just trying to get through a few things that happened earlier this year, and Christmas this year was definitely different, but I got through it. All in all, it wasn't too bad. Could have been a lot worse, could have been a lot better, but nothing major. So this is kind of what I was going at when I was talking about Metalhead's voice earlier. My voice is still my vocal cords are still fairly moist from the last time I had something to drink. But when I didn't, and I used Metalhead's voice, because my voice was basically gone, that's what brought out that metallic, scratchy sound that made Metalhead's voice. And I think my favorite video that Metalhead's been in was either Metalhead reads The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, or Metalhead's origin story. Both of those are fairly decent videos. Um, yes, I do remember you used to make Lego movies. I'm trying to get back into that. I actually just recently announced that I'm going to do a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man inspired origin story for a Spider-Man movie that I'm going to do. It's going to be original while also basically taking points from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man uh, original trilogy. So there are going to be some elements from that movie that are going to be put in mine. Um, but it's also going to be a little bit different. I have not come up with a villain yet. I'm hesitant to use on Green Goblin, but yeah, I noticed that. I typically don't watch YouTube that much anymore. And if I do, it's DIYs and how to get some certain things done. Um, it's just most mostly why I don't watch a whole lot of YouTube videos is because of spoilers for certain movies that I want to see. Like when I recently I saw No Way Home 2 weeks ago. Like the Sunday or the weekend it came out on Sunday. And as soon as it came out, I avoided YouTube for days until I was actually able to see the film because I didn't want to see any spoilers. Because I know people upload segments of the films and stuff like that. It was the same thing with Ghostbusters Afterlife. Like I was lucky enough to see Ghostbusters Afterlife pretty much the day it came out. Um, but when I knew it was released in, yeah, I knew it was released in um, the UK like 2 days early. So I knew that there were going to be people who were going to share and say stuff about it. So I avoided YouTube until I actually saw the movie. Um, the Batman is going to be the same way. I'm anxious to see what they do with Robert Pattinson as Batman, and I'm anxious to see what Matt Reeves does with that movie. So yeah, as soon as I got back from seeing Spider-Man: No Way Home, that's exactly what I got too. So I knew what was going to happen, but I'm like, why would you upload stuff like that? Yeah, there are a lot of people who want to see the movie, but that's what you should do. You don't freaking show the parts of the movie, especially big spoilers like what they were recording. It's like that's going to ruin the movie for people, and then the people are going to go in the theater, are going to go watch the movie, and they're going to expect to see that. That's why I'm glad some of the things that they put in the movie were not in the trailer, because to me it was going to ruin that excitement that was going to blow the roof off of the theater. And thank God that they didn't do it that way, because if they had put certain things in the trailers, it wouldn't have been as big of a whoa type thing that they did in the movie. But it was the same way with, or same thing with, you know, Afterlife, and it's going to be the same thing when I go see the Batman, because I don't know when I'm going to be able to see that movie. I'm hoping to see it the week it comes out, but I'm not 100% sure on that yet. So, but thank you guys. Like I said earlier, I'm going to do a Spider-Man origin story. I do not know who the main villain is going to be. I'm hesitant to put it as Green Goblin. I did finally find my version of the Lizard, so he may Lizard may show up, but he's probably not going to be the main villain. I'd like to do Dr. Octopus as the main villain, but um, A, I can't animate Dr. Octopus that well, and B, um, I think it'd be too early to start off with Dr. Octopus for this Spider-Man movie. But I don't know yet, so I'll figure it out, I'm sure. Or I'll put it up to a poll or something. If I could do a poll, I'll put it up to what do you guys want to see, and what do you guys who would you rather have Spider-Man go up against in this origin story? And I'll do a separate video on this in the future. But as for the plans for tomorrow's video, like I said, this suit is going to show up in the final part of The Day the World Ended. And then, Ironmonger will show up in a handful of videos. But basically, I'm going to go back to basics until after the first of the year. Once the new year is here, then I will start trying to do a few more reviews and stuff. Because I wanted to do more unboxing videos and stuff like that like I used to. I've actually found a couple of Marvel and DC products, Transformer stuff and everything else that I would like to do for stuff like that, but obviously haven't had the time or money to do it. So now that I've got most of my truck parts and stuff done, I'm actually able to start. I should be able to start doing stuff like that, so I'll be able to do more reviews and stuff like that, hopefully in late next year, if not early next year. So, but anyway, I know it's late, and I appreciate all you guys who stuck around and watched this whole live stream. Thank you guys for putting up with my insanity for this video. I know it's been a long video. It's been probably one of my longest live streams ever. I cannot thank you guys enough for those of you who have stuck around and hung out in this video and watched me do stuff that I like doing. I like putting things together. I like Iron Man. I like Infinity War. I like Legos. This video was intended to become the start of what I hope to do more of. I may do more stuff like this in the future. I don't know yet, but if I don't, this was definitely a fun experience. So I will probably do more live streams in the future. I may schedule them more. But again, I cannot thank you guys enough. I know it's, at least in Texas, it is like 12:40 something in the morning. So I know it's late. I'm not sure where it is anywhere else in the world right now, but here in Texas it is like 12:40 something in the morning. So I know it's late, and I know that there's a lot of people who have to go to school and stuff in a few days or in a few weeks or whatever. So I cannot thank you guys enough for taking time out of y'all's days and watching my videos or chatting with me on my live streams. I'm going to try to do live streams more often because I know how much people like those. I don't know. That's actually a good question. It came up on my phone one time and it said go live. I tried it. It was my test stream. And I had no idea if it was going to work, and sure enough it did. It came up on my phone. It said, do you want to upload a video? Do you want to make a short, or do you want to do a live stream? And I said, okay, we'll try a live stream and see what happens. And I did the stuff I said I needed to do, and I filled out the title, I took the thumbnail, and I did the age recommendations, and it didn't do anything. So I mean, it let me stream everything, and I'm not sure why it did that, but I'm not complaining about it either, because this way I don't have to wait to get 1,000 subscribers to tell you guys, long drawn out updates and stuff like this. and be able to do more stuff like this. So, that's another thing I like about uh, the things I do. What I do, I get to connect with people who are more like me. And that's the one thing I like about YouTube is I get to talk with people who are who think like mind. Um, so again, this has definitely been an experience for this uh, video. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try to do more live streams more often. So if I don't um, do live streams, then I'm gonna just do what I've been doing. But most likely, anytime I want to talk or whatever, if I have a product or whatever I'm going to review, or a series of products or sets or whatever I'm going to review, it'll be in live stream form, just so that way everybody can see, this is what's going on, this is what's happening, blah 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 blah, etc etc etc. So I expect quite a few live streams in the future. But again, I cannot thank you guys enough for sticking around. DC Mills, I know you probably had a very busy schedule, so I appreciate you taking 2 hours and 47 minutes out of your day to hang out on this channel this long. So I cannot thank you guys enough. So I'm going to go ahead and go get something to drink now, because I know for a fact my throat is beyond dry. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was long, I know it was drawn out, and I know it was hectic. So hopefully none of my other live streams are ever this ridiculous, or at least never this long. And if so, note to self, next time, bring a glass of water with you. So, anyway, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys all later. Bye.